Hello, thank you for joining us today. So we're going to be talking about the subjects of mortgages in Spain for expats. Helping us with that today is Trond from the company My Bank in Spain. Hi, Trond. How you doing?
Very well, Nick. Thank you for having me.
It's nice to meet you. So can you tell us about yourself and your company?
Well, I'm originally Norwegian, but I've been living here in Spain since 2004. And before starting bank in Spain 7, 8 years ago, I worked in Spanish banks. So I've been working in two different Spanish banks,
Okay.
both as branch director and in private banking.
So what made you decide to start up Bank in Spain?
Well, I always wanted to start something myself, but then it needed to be something I knew, and it needed to be a need in a market. And then I thought a mortgage broker would be the best option. Often when you sat in the bank, when I was on the other side of the table, I knew that if the client had gone in a different bank, he would probably get a better deal. But of course, when you work in a bank, you can't say that. And then I thought, let's start a mortgage broker. Then to make sure that the clients always get the best deal.
Okay,
So
that's great. So Trond, for clients looking at mortgages in Spain, what types of mortgage are available for expats looking to purchase a property in Spain?
good. The first question we often get is if we have interest-only mortgages, and none of the Spanish banks will be able to give interest-only. They will start the repayment at once. So basically, you have two types. You have fixed rates. Not all the banks are able to give fixed rate mortgages, but that means you locked interest rate for the full term, so it will never change.
Okay.
And the other one is variable rate or tracker mortgage. So it's pegged to something we called Euribor. That is the same all over Europe in the Eurozone. And then we say we locked interest rate for the first one. That's the most common. In some banks, we can lock it for maybe first 3 years or first 5 years, and then it will be a tracker mortgage,
Right. Okay.
or a variable rate. So you basically have fix it for the full term, or fix it for the first year, or first 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Right. So when should clients be contacting you?
It's always good that they talk to us fairly quickly. You have to have an idea on the budget. We see that many, they don't know about the expenses when they buy a property in Spain, kind of the taxes and the notary fees, and we can calculate everything. And so it's often good. You have to contact us to ask for a breakdown of how it could look.
Okay.
But really, we can't start towards the banks to get a firm mortgage offer before you have a property.
Okay.
That's a big difference between, for example, UK and Spain.
So you can't in the UK, you'd go to the bank and you get a mortgage in principle before you started to look. Can you do something like that? Can you give people an idea what their budget is or not?
Hey, we can give an idea, but the banks won't give a mortgage in principle.
Right.
It's not only in the UK, but in many countries. Typically, you go to the bank first.
Yeah.
You have the mortgage approved, and then you find a property. In Spain, go to the mortgage broker, ask, how does it look? Then you go and find a property. You don't need to reserve it, but we need to know the price, the type of property you're buying, the address, and then we can get a firm mortgage offer. So, because the banks always take into account the type of property you're buying in the risk analysis.
So when a client contacts you to discuss mortgages, what kind of paperwork do you need from them to have a look into it?
For the bank, the most important is that we're able to show liquidity. So it will be payslips, tax returns, savings that shows that you're able to buy the property with a mortgage, bank statements they will ask for, and an overview of your current payments. For example, if you have a mortgage at home or a car loan. So everything to show typically how much you have left in the end of the month.
Yeah.
And then the banks in Spain can do analysis and see that if you are able to pay the mortgage in Spain comfortably, which is the Spanish regulation. You have to be able to pay the mortgage comfortably.
Okay. How long does it normally take to get a decision from the banks?
After we have the paperwork, so typically the first thing we do is ask the client to fill out a small form. And with the form filled out, we can give a list of all the documents the banks will ask for.
Okay.
And after we have got all the paperwork, 5 to 7 working days, sometimes quicker, sometimes longer. It all depends a little bit on the complexity of the operation. Some have a very transparent and easy economy. Others might have a slightly more complex one.
Yeah.
For example, if you have your own company and don't take out really the minimum pay, and then you have everything else in dividend.
Well, what percentage of a mortgage can clients get on for, say, an urban type of property? So a townhouse, an apartment, a property in a town or village?
Good. Typically up to 70%. If you have your income from outside Spain, meaning a typical person living abroad and buying a holiday home in Spain, then nearly all the banks say maximum 70% of the purchase price. And that means the official purchase price. And then they limit the mortgage to 70% of the mortgage valuation. And that is an aspect that it's often easy to forget. Because the mortgage valuation in Spain, it's really important.
Yeah.
And it's not done by the real estate agent, but by an authorized company only doing mortgage valuations. So for our clients, we do what we pre-mortgage valuation. So when they are decided on the property, we have the mortgage okay, then we talk to valuation companies. We work with 7 different ones.
Okay.
In Spain, you have 31 companies doing mortgage valuations. Each company, they have their own database, because in Spain, the mortgage valuation company, they need to look at the property, measure it up, and then they have a database of all registered sales in a specific area.
Yeah.
And if you go to the wrong mortgage valuation company, maybe they have an out-of-date database, or they don't have too much sales in that area.
Okay.
Or maybe the ones they have, it's the old properties down the road, but not the new builds you are buying. So typically we ask 3 or 4 to find the correct valuation.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for talking to us today, Trond. I think we've given people a basic start to look into mortgages. And obviously, if people want to contact you, then they can find your website details and at the bottom of the screen. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Trond.
Thank you for having me.